You go ahead, introduce us if you would.
Introduce us, if you would, Susan Scarlett, Robert Cochran, right in the middle of a juicy conversation about metaphor.
Your daily dose right here. And metaphors, are the combining of two things that don't necessarily seem like they go together into a greater meaning. We're connecting 2 points. This is also the definition of creativity, by the way. And when our minds are at play and we feel safe to do so, we have all sorts of creative, often metaphorical connections. When we are in our logical space, not flowing and assessing the world, by the way, not putting a better or worse in either one, it's just about accessing both things. We have a much harder time, generally speaking, making those connections because no, that doesn't make sense. No, that's not true. You know,
And what did I ask you like countless numbers of times when we first started talking and we first met? It was exactly that.
right?
It was Robert, my question battery is what my question is what the heck does improv, that's the that's the story, have to do with Parkinson's, which is
Right.
this real black and white literal thing over here? And that's what I kept asking. That's what I was looking for. And it was when you talked about quality of life
Yeah.
that that's what you were looking for. That's what improv could bring to the party.
Right.
Those are the most important words in what we think about and do in this work. The
Well, and
quality.
I want to go back to something you said that's so important to me because you really you framed it well to say that Parkinson's is not, in my opinion, this literal one thing. Parkinson's is so unknown and so lacking in understanding, and for better, better phrasing, but we understand so little about it, especially on the individual level, right? We have these big broad things, and by the way, mileage may vary all over within that circle for what Parkinson's is for you. That to me, it demands that the individuals be allowed, and not only allowed, but encouraged to tell their truth in Parkinson's,
Well, we are, right? Because
and,
we hear
and
all
given the
the
tools
time.
to do so. That's the other thing, right? We're often told, tell your story. What does that mean?
Well, that's kind of where this started in my head earlier
Right.
today.
So, and here's where story, again, what I'm leaning on the Joseph Campbell model. I'm saying story is in some way innate to who we are. And there are researchers who say otherwise. I found a very big naysayer out there, still a philosopher who was taking it to the other side. I'm like, that's fine. However, I'm in the camp of Brene Brown and many others who believe that we are innate storytellers. It does connect with a piece of who we are, generally speaking. Are there going to be anomalies? Yes. However, storytelling is who we are, and we don't use that tool functionally as well as we could. It's the same as improv. Improv entertains as we know it. Great. Yes, we know it for comedy and laughs and a good night out. Does it also have a potential medicinal effect when we use it to connect, to become more creative, to help us, communicate with each other? Absolutely. It's the same with story. Story has medicinal effect when we can use it to relieve ourselves. How many stories do we have from the day one PD superheroes of people letting go of old narratives, OFSs, as you like to call them, right? That they carry around with them and go, I need to let that die or literally kill it off myself, right? People don't know the power of story, even though they're running narrative in their mind all the time. We've got a story about everything and everybody running all the time. Doesn't always serve us to our highest good either.
I would agree with both of those statements. It is running all the time, and it doesn't serve us well to try to analyze it all the time.
Well, not even that it doesn't do us well to analyze all the time. I'm saying that sometimes the stories we're carrying are counterproductive. We sometimes carry negative stories
I'm
inside
sorry.
of
Yeah.
us. That's
Yes.
what I meant. And if we don't analyze them, then we just go, that's normal. That's how it is. And is it that way, or is that the story we're telling ourselves? And Brene, again, I'm invoking the heck out of her because she has this great thing with her husband where they talk about their interpersonal relationship. And when they argue with each other, and they had this great moment where she stops and goes, okay, the story I'm telling myself about what's going on in this fight right now is, And I love that step back. It's the same thing in meditation, in emotional intelligence, all of that. Instead of getting swept up in the story in this sense and letting the story lead us to what the truth is that we believe, we go, here's the story I'm telling myself. Is it accurate? Maybe not. However, I've run to the end of the story before I've given you a chance to even
Right. Yeah.
play.
Yes. It's coming together here. I'm seeing a lot of things. I mean, it's an astonishing thing to hear you say Parkinson's isn't a literal thing. I know what you mean because it is so widely varied. And all of those parts of it are true. They're all literal, they're all true, they all count. Um, but hearing you say that and just knowing the work that you're doing, it's kind of like it's like an opportunity for me to have a bigger perspective on Parkinson's as well as black and white, literal. I've never felt that I was a black and white person, but maybe the fact that I have a big heart and I have a lot of capacity for empathy and compassion is misleading me. Is misleading me. It may make me think that may make me not realize that I'm actually kind of stuck in a little bit of a literal groove, and I'm working my way through it, out of it, with your help.
Well,
Really, truly, this is a really
that's
interesting
that's an
conversation.
amazing admission, and I mean, we'll see.
Yeah.
As always, right? It's just like the great Taoist story you sent me the other day. We'll see.
Right, right, right.
And as for this, we'll see you next time.